Have you ever heard of YEYIAN before? Oh, that almost worked. I haven't, and I haven't heard of the Sigurd 4000 until earlier this week, but we've got one. It's a 34-inch 1440p 21:9 ultra-wide display, 165 hertz, and you know what? I'm not going to tell you the price yet, but it's not crazy expensive. It is a VA panel, so you're going to give up some stuff. And I actually want to show you the box a little bit because there's a couple kind of funny things here. Probably the best part of this is the fact that it lists HDR 400, but it does not have a VESA rating. So we did test it. It's okay, but it's definitely not hitting 400 nits when we test the HDR, so maybe that's why they couldn't get VESA certified. But whatever, you know, maybe it's still okay. The reality is, HDR, unless you're using mini LED or OLED, well, this is gonna be kind of hard to get out. It doesn't look that good, honestly. Oh. What do we got? Cables? Love cables. Okay, that's a bracket or a plate of some kind. This is another weird little plastic attachment that I have no idea what this is. The labs tested it, and when it comes to putting it all together, they just said have fun. So I'm expecting something terrible at this point. We've got a C13, and this looks like it goes straight into it, but yeah, it doesn't look like there's a power brick on here. We got the stand, or the base of the stand, which is circular. Here's the rest of the stand. I'm gonna put all that there. Okay, sure. I'm definitely gonna need a screwdriver. I don't like this. I don't know why they've overcomplicated this like to such a degree. Thankfully, we have an LTT screwdriver with a Torx bit. I think that's what it is. Yeah, now it's, oh, I broke that part. That's cool. But now it's coming out. And you know what? I don't think we needed that anyway. Okay, that's locked in. So now we're gonna tighten these. This is the absolute, probably worst stand design I've ever seen, at least in terms of assembly. I don't understand it at all. I don't know why they're doing this. I don't know why there's this many screws. I don't know why they've even included this one at this point. They could have just figured out a different locking mechanism. But okay, sure. Probably the worst part is that this is a slot. I get that they do the slot so that you can finger tighten it with the little handle instead. Yeah, I don't get it, but whatever. It's done. There we go. Okay, now I also don't understand how it plugs into the monitor because it's definitely not an easy, like, just clip in and pull it out. Let's look at the back of the monitor first. Oh, never mind. It does look like it just clips in. This does not feel comfortable at all.
What happens when you press the button on the back of the monitor?
It pulls out this guy. So do I have to attach this separately? Okay, this is the first time, I think ever, that I've had to actually check the manual to unbox a monitor, whether at home or at work. So, okay. So we're gonna take our stand mount and throw it on like this, I guess. Yeah, this is involved, I'll tell you that much. More involved than I would personally like, but hey, you know, maybe if it's discounted and, you know, it's a good monitor, you're willing to kind of deal with this stuff. Well, I'm not. I think this is the longest it's ever taken me to put a stand together, by like a country mile. Okay, maybe we don't need these up and down clips. I don't think so. It looks like now it finally just kind of clicks in and pulls out. Sure. Baby, oh, that's a big display. I figured it out. This is for the mount if you're gonna wall mount it, and this is a cable clip. I don't know where the cable clip goes yet, but it's a cable clip. And now to look at the YEYIAN Sigurd 4000. Oh no, that was the worst reveal in the history of reveals. Oh no, this does not feel sturdy. All I did was pick this up and move it around a little bit. Whoa.
What's that noise?
Oh, you know what it is? When I go to pick it up, because the latch is like right underneath where your hand would kind of be, like this, I'm picking it up and pushing on the latch just a little bit with my knuckle. That's never really been a problem on any other display. This is usually how I carry displays, is like this. And yeah, I don't like that at all. I think I almost just, popped the whole display off and broke it. So glad I didn't. That's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, it looks like it's about a 1500R curvature, which is a little more, which is kind of nice actually. 1500 is about right for a screen this size, at least in my opinion. That's all kind of up to personal preference. On the back. There's more screws on the stand. I don't like this stand at all. Why does it have so many screws in it? I've never seen this. It's always like a single piece of plastic or metal or something. I've never seen like a bunch of extra screws in the back. And then aside from that, it looks like we got some RGB lighting on the sides and then up the middle here. I actually kind of like the RGB. I mean, I haven't seen it turned on, but I like this like little configuration of diffusion strips. And I like that that's actually proper diffusion instead of just like light bulbs or something, LED bulbs there. Otherwise, I mean, it looks okay. On the front, we got the YEYIAN symbol again with the like samurai or whatever. Pretty cool. One thing I'd like to note, it does look like they have a tiny kind of carrying handle here that you can get 2 fingers in. I'd really still prefer to carry it the way I normally do. So we got 2 HDMI 2.0 ports and then a couple of DisplayPort ports, which is not the most uncommon thing, but it's actually really nice to see on monitors when you want to plug multiple devices into the same monitor. And then we've got an audio port and power, and that's it. Actually, I'm kind of amazed that there's like, is there no USB on this thing? Like at all, really? It's not the most common feature because I guess not every monitor can connect to your computer like that, but it's kind of rare to not see USB anywhere on a monitor these days. So that's a little disappointing. Well, it's not the most feature-rich monitor, at least not physically, but we'll find out if the panel's any good after a word from our sponsors, SwitchPod. Are you a video creator looking to upgrade your on-the-go or vlogging setup? Look no further than SwitchPod. Compatible with any camera from a phone to a DSLR, this handheld tripod was designed by passionate video creators like us, just trying to make their lives a little easier. Lightweight, compact, and nearly indestructible, experience the freedom of quickly switching between handheld and tripod mode in seconds. Use the 2 threads on the legs to add accessories of your choice and turn the SwitchPod into a full-blown video rig. Head to the link below and check out SwitchPod today. One thing we forgot to try out was how good the stand is. We got some height adjustment here, and hey, wait, stays in the middle, cool. We've got, actually quite a bit. Can this thing do like a full 360? I don't know if it can go all the way around. No, not quite. It stops right there, but that's probably some of the most play that I've ever seen on a display. Can it tilt as well? It can tilt. Okay, so as much as I might hate the construction and putting together the stand, it's pretty versatile. I'll give it that. I don't think you can pivot. No, you can't. But let's be real. Ultra wide, curved. Do you want this thing to be in portrait mode? I don't know, maybe. If you do, tough luck, you're not gonna get it. We wanted to wait to turn it on because it should show, yeah, with the samurai. I will admit, I like the logo. I like the samurai with the Y, it's kind of cool. Well, it's got 8-bit with dithering. So okay, sure. HDR, sure. There's no certification found, that's because it doesn't have any. It's saying 446 nits, but we tested it and it was hitting like 370. So I don't really believe you, Windows, but Windows has also reported some weird stuff before. Okay, we're gonna check out the OSD to see if there's some kind of HDR setting that's just not going, because this looks super washed out and terrible.
What are you talking about? It looks great.
No, it doesn't, David. Don't you try to... Okay, so one thing, there is no navigation nipple, so this is a like go up and down, M for menu, I'm guessing. I don't know what E stands for, and that's power. We'll try to turn DCR on, which is dynamic contrast ratio. I don't expect it to... It looks the same to me.
Oh no, it got dark.
It's darker now, but not in a good way. I'm gonna turn it off. Okay, how do I go back now? E? E for exit? Wow, it is, okay. Oh, aspect ratio, that's cool. Let's see if we can, yeah, so we can go 4:3 if we want to. 1:1, nice. That's high quality right there. This is not their fault. Okay, this is just YouTube trying to do stuff. Oh my God, I hate this menu so much. This is like painful. I haven't had to do this in so long. There's an eco mode, which we're not gonna use. Down, 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 down. Display. What's under display? Aspect ratio, LED, audio, mute, volume. I don't think this thing has speakers. I think that's for the audio out. Multi-window. Cool. So you can do, looks like you can do PIP and PVP. Yeah, so this is actually why you've got that extra DisplayPort cable. And it's actually a pretty nice feature for ultra-wides because you could totally put 2 4x3 pieces of content on here if you wanted to. So yeah, it will do, it looks like it'll do PBP and PIP, which is pretty cool. Not every monitor has that. Other, what's under other? DP version, oh that's cool, tells you what DP version you've got, which I mean, I pretty much expect everything to be DP 1.4 at this point, but hey, that's cool. It's got adaptive sync, it does have adaptive sync, and HDR is set to off, so let's see if that actually fixes anything. On. Wow, it actually did. It's not perfect, but that looks a lot better. If you buy this monitor, please do yourself a gigantic favor and make sure to set both the monitor and Windows to HDR. It kind of sucks that out of the box, it doesn't set up as auto. It really should, in my opinion, because I mean, whatever, if you turn it on in Windows, that way it'll turn on, and if it's not, then it won't be on. So, whereas this way, it's annoying. You gotta go and turn it on in the menu. But okay, fine. This does look significantly better than it did a moment ago. It's definitely still washed out, but it's not nearly as bad as it was a couple seconds ago when we were looking at it. We're gonna turn adaptive sync on before we play some games. We don't really need it because we've got a 4090 in here, but it still helps a little bit. So, the content is okay. I'm gonna play some games on it to really judge, but I'm not crazy impressed. Okay, I can tell you right now, I've been playing a lot of RE4. I'm on like my 4th playthrough, and it can look a lot better than this. This isn't awful, it's just not the most contrast. It's, yeah, it could be worse. They advertise a 3001 contrast ratio, and we've had a 4001 contrast ratio when measuring it, which is nice. It's better than expected, but it's also not amazing. I'm actually gonna turn off HDR though, because I bet you the SDR experience would be better. I feel like it's trying to over brighten stuff a little bit and washes it out. Don't get me wrong, it's absolutely not nearly as dark where it should be in the dark areas, but this just like looks better. It doesn't look all washed out and dirty. And so I would definitely basically just never turn HDR on with this monitor. We're gonna check it out more in Counter-Strike, which will get a higher FPS count, but like the blur on the pixels is not the best I've ever seen. Just turning looks kind of gross.
Look at that UI element, it's like a trail.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're getting 190 FPS right now, so it's not that. We've got HDR on, and we do have like a bright hotspot here. It's not like eye-searing bright though. This thing only hits about 350 to 370 nits. We do, with HDR turned on, it is like kind of darker in the corners here, but we're just losing a lot of detail and it doesn't look great. We're gonna turn HDR off and take a look and see how it looks in SDR. And again, you're losing a ton of contrast, but at least now I feel like I can see all these details and it looks a bit better. I don't know. I think I'd probably run this thing in SDR for the most part if I was going to buy it, personally. But we want to check out motion blur and how good this thing will handle fast-paced games. I've seen a lot of Counter-Strike, and this just looks washed out. It's so that's the problem, is this is a VA panel, and VA has decent viewing angles. It's okay with motion blur, but it's really not that great with color. That's kind of why so many people like IPS, is that IPS has a really good color from a lot of different angles as well. Like TN is especially bad, like VA is kind of in the middle ground. And so many people are like, well, I don't want the middle ground, I want the thing it's like really good at. And I gotta say, this just isn't exciting. I think that's the problem with it. I'm not excited about it, and that's not because I'm being elitist. There's just something about this that doesn't feel anywhere near as good as other stuff I've looked at recently. And I get that it's a lower price, but we've also seen some really good gigabyte monitors that come in and just like mop the floor on the kind of budget area around the like $300 to $500 range. So to praise something like one of those and then look at this is just disappointing. Wow, that was an awful shot. Oh, I got them both! Okay, here's what we're talking about when it comes to the blurriness of this thing. This sign right here looks nice and crystal clear as we're staying still. I'm gonna move just a little bit. Like, I'm not even flicking. I'm not even flicking, and it just like goes to mush. And then if we flick, it's gross. It's unreadable, and it's not a frame rate thing. This thing's going at 165 hertz, which is pretty good. I'm fully okay with like 165, 144. You don't need a 240 hertz monitor to look nice and crystal clear, and this thing, unfortunately, just really doesn't do that. We tested the color accuracy, and it's not awful. It's got about a 4.21 delta E average, which is okay. The problem is most monitors these days, even at the lower end, like $500, $400, they're coming in calibrated to about a delta E of 2 or less. So it's just kind of disappointing. It also had a max of like 8.3, which is not great. It's mostly on the whites and the blacks too, which is kind of surprising. Overall, I'm just not super impressed. I think that here's the problem. If you're gonna go 1440p ultra wide, like you want a nicer, like more premium display, you can't cheap out too much, because all you're paying for at that point are these features. You're paying for ultra wide. You're paying for a curved display. You know, you're paying for 165 hertz, but you're not paying for like color accuracy and just vibrancy and blurry pixels, you know, like a better motion pixel response time. And those things, in my opinion, are often more important. Maybe not more important than refresh rate, that's still pretty good. But the problem is this isn't like, you know, a 240 hertz refresh rate display. It's 165, which has been common for, frankly, years now. Here's the problem with the YEYIAN Sigurd 4000. It's $369, which, admittedly, 1440p, 165 hertz, ultra wide, like at $369, that actually seems appealing. But the problem is, if you go up $20, $30 more, you can get a gigabyte model for a little more money, and it's probably gonna be a bit better. And even if it's not, even if it's the exact same quality level as this display, you're at the very least going to get much better customer support. Because, I don't know, maybe YEYIAN's good. I've never heard of them in my life until I unboxed this monitor. No one I asked knew who YEYIAN was. So I don't know, maybe in a few years they'll be more reputable, but right now it's kind of a crapshoot. So I think that if you are looking to get basically this display, 1440p 21:9, at 34 inches, then you should probably go with the Gigabyte G34 WQC. I haven't tested it, but I do trust Gigabyte. They've actually been on SC before with some kind of budget $400 or $500 monitors, and they've really impressed me. So I think you're much better off going with them over the YEYIAN. If you're looking for something a bit more premium, you know, check out the ShortCircuit that we did on the Meg 342C from MSI. It's a pretty sweet monitor.